Welcome to the FARcast here at Chadron State College. I'm Daniel Binkard with my co-host Alex Helmbrecht, and we're here today with a special non-CSC guest. We do get a few from time to time. Eric Carlson, Assistant Project Manager for Adolfson and Peterson Construction. And for those of you who don't know, Eric has been on campus for what seems like the last 10 years working on the various construction projects that we've had going on. So
it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, it is. And you're a good guy to know. We've been on some tours with you and really enjoyed learning about some of these projects. But we'll talk more about that. But for now, tell us a little bit about yourself. You know, where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to school?
Yeah, so thanks for having me here. Nice to always see you, Alex, Daniel.
Sure.
But yeah, this is my second project for the college. First one was the football stadium a couple of years back. And then been here for the last 10 months doing the 12 months now on the math and science. But originally from Springfield, Nebraska, born and raised there, a bunch of family back east. If you're not familiar with Springfield, Nebraska, which most people aren't, just south of Omaha, about 25 minutes or so in between Gretna and Papillion there. But yeah, been in construction my entire life. Technically, I'm a fourth-generation tile setter. Dad, he has his own remodel company, builds houses, stays very busy with my siblings back there as well. And when I got to deciding where I wanted to go to college, what I wanted to get into, I was like, let's see if we can get some other opportunities outside of the family business. And I wanted to get into architecture originally, but it was a pretty quick turnaround to where, I'm not very creative. So, so that one got shot down a little bit quick there, but ended up doing my 4 years out at UNK, University of Nebraska Kearney, in construction management. And then since then, I've been out in Colorado for the last 4 years. Had the pleasure of having my first project be the stadium that I wrapped up a couple of years ago, and went back down to Broomfield, Colorado, did a rec center there for a couple of years, and then excited to be back here in Chadron.
Yeah, welcome back.
Yeah.
So we had a question that was, how'd you get into the construction business? But it sounds like you were basically born into it.
Born into it, yeah. I've, my girlfriend asked me this the other day is, well, if you weren't in construction, what would you be doing? I had a tough time answering it. This is something that I find myself being challenged every day. I get to learn something new every day. Get to, be able to be a part of a great team, work with a bunch of great people, and ultimately that is the recipe for creating these nice, beautiful projects that people get to enjoy for years to come. So.
Now, as maybe shed a little light on your title, or I guess your current duties. So as an assistant project manager, I mean, you're not out there with a hammer and nail and putting up drywall and doing stuff like that. You're really largely responsible for logistics, lining things up, right?
Yeah.
The actual management.
So
in
terms of my main project duties is one to make sure we're satisfying Chadron State College, that we're meeting their requirements, making sure they're happy, addressing any concerns that they may have. And then when it comes to project management, construction management, it's being able to deliver that project on a timely manner and within the owner's budget. And so that a lot of, from my perspective, is an overview. But when it comes to AP, Adolfson and Peterson, nobody's exempt from doing it. It's a team effort. Mm-hmm. If something is needed from one of our guys, whether you're in the office or whether you're in the field, if our full focus is being out in the field, we're all out there helping each other to create this successful project, get people going, problem solving, all that great stuff. So
cool.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about A&P then. We've kind of seen bits and pieces of what goes on in these projects here, but what kind of scope does this company have? How wide-ranging? Are we talking countrywide, or is it more regional?
Yeah, so AP is currently in 5 states. So our headquarters is actually at Minneapolis, Minnesota. Then we have our Colorado office, which is where I'm working out of. Yeah. We have Texas, we have Arizona, and then we have Wyoming as well. So, but AP in reality is they're here to serve the community. They are focused on serving clients in the healthcare facilities, correctional facilities, education facilities. Basically, if a town were to sprout up out of nowhere, AP wants to be there to successfully fulfill the needs and the wants of a community. And I think Chadron is a pretty good example. I mean, we worked on the athletic complexes here. We've done the track, we've done Chicoine, we've done the football stadium. Now we're into math and science. There's a laundry list of items that hopefully we can continue to build successful relationships with Chadron when it comes to like the Memorial Hall.
That's coming up for us next.
I mean, you hear about the horror stories that they have with that building, and so we just whatever concerns the client may have or the vision that they want, AP wants to be there to best suit their needs.
So you mentioned you had worked on a rec center in between the two Chadron projects. What other types of projects have you worked on with A&P?
This is my third one.
Okay.
Yep. So the football stadium was my first one, then the rec center, and then now this one.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow. Now, can you kind of define or describe for the audience what a subcontractor does, which is what A&P is, basically not a subcontractor, construction manager at risk?
A general contractor.
Yeah, because there's a lot of different terms that confuse me, but I mean, I'm very ignorant when it comes to this.
So, I mean, it's I'll start from this way. So, AP is a general contractor.
Okay.
And so there's three main parts when it comes to a project. Is you have the owner, which is obviously the college in this instance. So the owner, they want to do this project. This is their vision. This is when they'd like to get it done. This is kind of the time constraints that they have. And so they will start going out and getting a design. It's like, this is what we want again. This is the faculty that we need to address their needs and their wants so that they can be successful in what they do. And so they'll go get a design from a design team, in this case, BVH on this project. Once that design's into a bidding state, they'll take it to general contractors like us. We get a competitive bid to them. And then as a general contractor, we actually hire subcontractors to specialize in scopes of work such as foundations, earthwork, steel, finishes, mechanical systems, electrical systems, that sort of stuff. So.
Right.
So there's a lot.
There's a lot of moving pieces,
yeah.
And that's just really scraping the surface. As I mentioned with the Chadron faculty, is there's just so many behind the scenes. When you talk about Dr. Ryan's office, when you talk about the maintenance crews, when you talk about the landscaping crews, the people who work for Chadron, the faculty, the math teachers, the science teachers, the chem teachers, board of trustees, board of educations, boosters, founders. There's just a lot of moving people, or a lot of moving pieces, a lot of people to make happy. So
I was just thinking that it's you've got to please everybody.
And you wouldn't be surprised. You can't please everybody all the time.
I will say
we're not familiar with that in our profession at all.
I have been pretty pleased with the results of the football press box, because that's one of those facilities I use on a regular basis, at least in the fall semester when there's football games going. Because my video streaming crew was able to get a really useful and usable space out of that. Mm-hmm. And all those little touches, like we've got good roof access to get the cameras up and down.
That's what I was going to say.
We've got space to get our equipment set up inside the building, and then with all the other people, I think we got the sound system sorted out in there with all the wiring, so we can get signals back and forth where we need to go. So, and I'm only scratching at the surface of what I was working with you guys and all the other subcontractors involved there, but it was a positive experience for me.
Yeah, no, and I was very proud of how the stadium turned out. It was very challenging in a lot of ways. The superintendent, TD, sounds like you've met him before. Excellent superintendent, and we had the physical constraints of the very last home game to when we can knock that thing down. I think it was down within 48 hours. I mean, it was on the ground. And then it literally went into getting it open, getting it clean, getting it ready for you guys to take the keys to it the next year's game opener. And that was a night game, and that thing was rocking. That was a lot of fun. And I think you turned up the volume just a little to its max.
That usually happens there.
I've always thought the funny thing about that game was I'm sure the foundation and the president's office blew through their food budget that day because it rained or there was a lightning storm for about 2 hours.
Delay.
And so I think everyone in Chadron got to see a little bit of the press box that evening to get out of the rain and have some fun. But that was great. It was actually perfect.
Yeah, we got to test out the warning graphics for the video board. Seek shelter. There's a thunderstorm. It was the weirdest thing. That storm cell just did not want to shift away from Chadron.
Which rarely happens.
Yeah, usually they'll blow through. But I think it must have been 1:30 in the morning by the time I got out of there. But it was successful in the end.
It was a secret of mine. I didn't tell anybody. But since we had just turned over the keys, we still had our temp office in that old concessions building off to the south, and so. Well, hey, I got the keys to this place. I'll go seek shelter.
There you go.
But that was a nasty storm.
It was, bad.
That's our tradition because we had a snowstorm last fall when we did our one home game last fall, and it's so rough for the camera operators on the roof. Rain blowing or snow blowing right into their faces. It never fails.
Man, we should have added a booth or something for you up there.
More roof covers. Another level. Just throw that in.
Yeah.
So Eric, I think we kind of, as you mentioned, only kind of skimmed the surface, and maybe this is largely due to, as I mentioned, my ignorance, but there are so many elements involved with a construction project. It's certainly one of this magnitude, a $32 million project. It's going to affect countless number of people and obviously students and faculty and everyone like that. But I've sat in, I think, on one or two RFP selection committees. So like when something goes out to bid, like you mentioned, and the campus has to get these sealed requests for proposals and go over that, and you score them on a rubric and all this other stuff, and you interview construction managers and all that stuff. There is so much work involved with that, and you might not even get the bid. And so can you maybe shed a little light on how many people are actually involved with your company? Because it's not just guys like you and TD. There's people who crunch numbers, who are looking at the gross square foot, all this other stuff that, they kind of are almost the unsung heroes in a way.
Absolutely. And that's something that I've always had to think back. Well, these 3 projects that I started, I never get to see the original building. I mean, I show up to do my job, which may seem like a lot in itself, but everything's already in the works. And so I love that question because we have an excellent pre-con group. So pre-construction, literally before construction, as well as marketing and a lot of other people that really try to give the owner that sense of confidence that, hey, we can build this project. We can do it for this amount of money. We can do it in this amount of time. It's going to have all the stuff that you want. And they have to commit to it. And they have to also put us in a reasonable spot to be able to deliver that to the owner and meet that satisfaction. I think they do a fantastic job of that. So it really is. We have an awesome home base, people who are always going to have your back. Be able to answer those tough questions, be able to work with you through problems that may have just been kind of conversations that happened before construction that need to be answered now. And so, just a wonderful crew of people we have back in our office.
Yeah, that's one thing I've always appreciated. It seems like whenever I've been involved with construction projects, and maybe it's the same for you, Daniel, I don't know, but it always seems like the architects and the folks responsible for the actual construction really listen. And sometimes working with vendors, I don't know that it necessarily always feels that way, but I certainly get that impression that you folks are all really willing to listen and you want to have that successful partnership. And so I just think it makes it so much easier to collaborate.
Yeah, and the projects kind of speak for itself. There's just a lot of time, there's a lot of effort, there's changes, there's a lot of money involved, there's a lot of nice equipment involved. And the last thing you want to do is deliver something that's not 100%. You want to be 110%. You want to exceed expectations. You really want to make people feel good about the involvement that they've had on this project. And so, and I want to give that back to, when I grew up in construction, my dad was always about quality, and AP does a great job of implementing quality and safety into projects throughout the entire nation. So it's a good foundation to stand on. And it speaks for itself too. I mean, there's a reason this is our fourth project back here at Chadron. Yeah. We just want to continue that effort with Chadron because the relationship goes both ways in that regard.
Sure. Well, let's talk a little bit more in depth on math and science because if anybody's been watching our construction camera of it, and it's been really cool to see that progress from when it was just grass there to being torn up and now seeing this structure rise out of the ground. Can you give us a sense, where are we at right now in the project? What are some of the things that the crew has been working on over like the past month and what's coming up to finish things?
Yeah, so in just taking a step back, and construction is a fast-paced project. I mean, from the day you start demo to the day you're turning over the keys. And so right now we are in our addition focusing on getting finishes started. You saw the glass going in.
Right.
We did, to give you an idea, the 3 levels of the existing building. We worked top to bottom, then came out into the addition. And so your top level, middle level are darn near 100% done, ready to start turning on lights. And then
does that include like the cabinetry and
cabinets,
fixtures?
lab
we need to get over
casework?
there.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to seeing this. I haven't been over in a while.
It changes dramatically, every 2 weeks or so.
Yeah.
And so that's where having you guys on to walk and just to see kind of eyes open is like, oh, wow, that's changed. Oh, that's changed. Oh, that's new.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the biggest thing has been that central rotunda completely being transformed.
Yeah, and then another fun aspect is I've given tours to a lot of students that used to actually operate in there, and they were in there 18 hours a day is what it seemed like. I mean, they were putting in so many hours, and it's fun to see them because they started like, oh, that's where that used to be. Oh, that's where that used to be. Oh, this is my classroom. I mean, it's a lot of fun, and to see 2D paper come to life really kind of puts a big dramatic effect to it, and then I think a lot of people are happy about. So definitely getting into the home stretch with holidays coming up. People like to take time off. We got quite a bit of Nebraska contractors, but a lot of us from Colorado or South Dakota as well. So really focused on turning the key, dropping ceiling tiles, and that's really when you're going to start seeing those finished spaces come to life.
Yeah.
So
I've been excited to see some of the exterior concrete work start, like underneath the addition. I saw that go in on the webcam, and I guess we got some sidewalks still to come, right?
Yeah, and a shout out to Lucinda Mays, which I believe she operates out of here, and so I want to give her a shout out because she. Wonderful woman. She actually created the landscape design for our site, and
also a Kearney grad.
That's right, she is.
Oh, but we're back here in Chadron now, so I mean that's where it really matters, right?
That might be a bad word.
We'll leave it at that.
We started there, but that's why we're here.
Too,
yeah. So we're hopefully we're moving up. So, a wonderful thing she did is she worked with the design team, obviously ownership, us, and she implemented plantings and designs, seating, everything that would actually relate back to actual class lectures that are going on in the math and science. And so I know you were going on to concrete, but my thing started going into like, well, that wonderful thing that she did. I mean, that's going to be coming to life. She's going to know that like the back of her hand, like she knows everything else on this campus. And so, but yeah, we'll hopefully start seeing a lot of that pavement go down. I'd say probably in about 2 weeks or so. Try to get that in before snow starts flying.
Yeah, it'll be here soon enough. But yeah, I mean, and like you mentioned, making sure everybody can get a chance to go home and see their family and take advantage of the holidays. That's so important to be able to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we just in general, we have a great set of subcontractors on this project. I mean, people who they've done the part where they've committed to this 15-month project. They're away from family most of the time, but they're problem solvers. They really put pride into their work, quality into the work. So got to give my hats off to a lot of the people that are doing the physical work, because they've been doing a wonderful job.
Yeah, well, you can certainly see it. I mean, it changes, like you said, every couple weeks. It was so cool to see the glass go in.
Yeah, glass makes a big difference. Glass and ceiling tiles is what because I mean, that will really enclose. You'll start seeing those complete finishes. And Morford's actually a local contractor. They're doing all the flooring, and they're probably about 50% done with the entire building.
Good.
So,
and then we got. Is it going to be brick exterior for that wing? Is that still to come?
So it's actually majority of it's glass is what you're seeing. So if it's plastic, that's going to be glass. You saw the glass going in. Yeah. But in between is actually phenolic panels from Germany. So I got those from Germany, and those have been sitting in Kansas City for probably the last couple months, and we should probably start seeing those, I would say, in about 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay. Well, that'd be exciting.
So you got a little bit of brick. You see all the cast stone ribbon, a lot of glass. You'll see the phenolic panels. We were able to keep the existing facade on the existing building, or the original building.
Tie it all together.
Yeah. Just keep on pushing, that's for sure.
What's it been like to manage that site during the pandemic? Not just in regards to the workforce and dealing with all the subcontractors, but it's had to have had impacts on the raw materials, I would think.
Oh, absolutely. So we've had a big issue. Definitely not as big as other people. We were actually very fortunate to start this project when we did. That was before, it was during COVID when we started it. However, it was before we started experiencing a lot of those supply and demand issues. People were getting back to work. Construction started ramping up. Well, commodities, materials, those things did not ramp up as fast as people getting back to work, more or less. And so we were able to lock in a lot of prices. We were able to lock in on getting that stuff coming to the site early on in the project to where it hasn't impacted as much. But to give you an example, we had some trench heaters that just showed up last week that came from Germany as well. We ordered those back in April. We just got them last week.
Wow. All right. A little bit of turnaround.
Yeah, so it's been tough. We've had some lab equipment, some sterilizers, some wear washers. Those came from Italy. But with subs being on top of it, they knew it was coming from Italy. They tried and tried. It was about a month delayed from when they originally thought it would come, but since they got on top of it, really didn't impact any parts of the project. So it just goes to a lot of people really working hard to make this project successful.
Sure.
But in terms of commodity prices, you name it, screws go up. Yep. Wood obviously went up. Yeah. I mean, we have a lot of acid waste piping. We have RO piping, all the equipment. All stainless steel went up. We had the Texas freeze in the spring, which Texas makes a lot of stuff. So and then obviously right now, more of a trucking transportation issue. I mean, everybody wants something, but if it's not priority, you're probably not getting it anytime soon. So
well, that makes a good segue to talk about the logistics of a project like this, and what goes into the planning of that. If you do, if we take, for example, where the equipment has to come from Italy and is going to be delayed, can those people, do they have a fallback stuff that they can work on while they wait for the other piece to come in? And how do you juggle all that?
I mean, it's a juggle, that's for sure. So in construction, there's always options. There's always something to be done. I mean, I look at a construction project just like one very big Lego. I mean, it's piece by piece, and you got to break it down piece by piece so you can build it the way it's intended to be built. So a lot of it goes to communication, right? We're all in this world together. We're all dealing with the same issues, and it's as long as we're doing the best that we can. We're communicating the problems correctly. We're not just more so complaining about problems. We're actually trying to find solutions.
Yeah, that's huge.
A direction forward. That's in my opinion the most important part. And again, it goes back to just the people you get to work with. It's me communicating, or no, it's a subcontractor communicating with me that they have a problem with delivery. Well, it's like, hey, we have an option to get this alternative product, or can we do this instead, or can we do this a temporary solution until these show up? If they can accurately tell me what that problem is and potential solutions, we go a little back and forth on it, and I can discuss that with the college, with the design team. It's like, hey, let's try to find a solution together. It doesn't stop just at me making decisions. It's working with the design team, working with the owner to resolve those issues. And again, that has just been a wonderful relationship. The college is very understanding, and we just, at the end of the day, want to give the best possible product back to them. So it's been fun, but it's been very challenging, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
All good things are.
Yeah.
So, Eric, how if you were talking to maybe even a current student or someone who wasn't even a student at all, but if they're interested in getting into a career similar to yours, what's your advice for them?
My first kind of thought, this is always, I mentioned earlier that I was born and raised in construction, didn't really see myself doing anything else, but my first question to them would be, what are you passionate about? What kind of gives you that drive? What triggers your thought processes? Your kind of will to make yourself a better person. I think that's the first question that I would ask him. And if that is construction, then experience and educating yourself is what's going to make you successful. I was fortunate when I was working with TD on the stadium project. He gave me a lot of reins to do my own thing, to be able to make my mistakes, but own up to it and solve those problems, those mistakes, resolve them. So my best advice would just be to get out there and do your best, learn from your mistakes, because it's going to happen in construction, and just keep going, keep trying to make yourself a better person in this industry.
Thanks.
That sounds good. So what's next on your agenda after math and science building?
Oh, yeah, going into this whole supply demand projects increase. I mean, it's flip a coin where I'm going, or flip the north south east west compass or something. Because I mean, it could really be anywhere. But I mean, this goes again back to the people who are involved before a project, in pre-construction, marketing, client relationships, all my big wigs back in Colorado or Minnesota or any of the other states, trying to get work, trying to see if we can satisfy either new clients or existing clients. And I think they've already done a great job, especially in some harsh markets and harsh climates these past couple of years. So I don't know that answer. I think.
Well, let me ask you this one, and I hope it's not on our list here. I don't think it is. So if you had your choice of what would be one of your dream projects to work on?
Oh yeah, there you go.
That's a great question.
Something tropical, building a resort or something.
Not 60-mile-an-hour winds or snowstorms. Or,
yeah, the winds have been pretty high here lately.
Tuesday was real bad, but I'm intrigued with all aspects of construction because going back to the football stadium, football is a very big sport of mine growing up, and so. I thought about it from that perspective. It's like if I was a football player, this is what I would want to play at. This is the level of quality, the level of style that I would want in this position. Then when I did the rec center, you're talking classroom settings, you're talking sports, you're talking aquatics, you're talking karaoke, dance classes. All there's all aspects and. There's a lot of people who have a lot of passions. And so to me, to look at it as like, oh, it's just a rec center, I don't look at it that way. I look at it as like, these are people who really enjoy doing this in their life. They want to maintain a certain quality of life, a certain fun environment. And so I look at it as I'm going to build the best rec center that I can build, for these people, for these instructors, for these teachers, for these kids, for these students. There's all sorts of, and then, you come into the math and science, you got a lot of faculty, you got math and science. Well, math and science can go 100 different directions in terms of careers. So I want to build the best math and science that there is possible. And so that being said, I really don't know this answer just yet. Maybe I was just stalling trying to go through all three projects.
Oh no, I think that's a great way to put it. That you're trying to build a bridge, for lack of a better term, from that person's passion to the output.
Yeah, I got into healthcare quite a bit, and so I'd probably say that would be the next opportunity that I'd be interested in going into, because just in terms of healthcare, I mean, you're in the industry of making lives better, and so what can I do to give the best tools to those doctors, to those nurses, to those occupational therapists, physical therapists, whatever it may be. There's just a lot of stuff, a lot of life safety systems that go into it. So it comes with this whole ballpark of challenges, but the challenges is what's going to make you a better person overall.
Oh,
so,
yeah, it is interesting to think all the specialized equipment that would go into any given project. The science building has its things, a rec center has its items, and healthcare's got different things altogether. Yeah.
So Eric, what do you like to do outside of work? What are some of the things you enjoy doing? I suppose if you ever have the time.
When I have the time, it's usually just trying to unwind, de-stress from the day. But I'd say, from a weekly standpoint, I'm always over here at the PAC. I try to play a lot of basketball. I'll play some morning balls with a lot of the local guys here in town. Try to hit the gym in the afternoon, and then like tonight they have basketball going on at the high school here in town. So just try to stay active. Life's also not all about work, so just try to get away, interact with the community, just kind of more so hang out.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
I do take advantage of. I love the Chadron area. I love the western Nebraska area. Been up to Toadstool, but we'd take trips up to Rapid City, go up to around Custer, go to a lot of breweries out there. So I mean,
it's a good spot up there.
It's kind of to me, it's a mini Colorado a little bit, and so it's got a little bit of everything. It's clean, nice people. So I do enjoy just kind of getting out and just trying to see new things. So.
Yeah, I do I feel lucky being out here with that variety of the outdoor activities and what the Black Hills has to offer, and that it's it's that there's not a lot of people necessarily to deal with.
Yeah,
which can be nice.
Yeah, don't have to wait 4 hours in traffic for anything.
Yeah, I'll never forget where my wife used to live. Was in a ski town. And I didn't realize coming back on the interstate on a Monday morning what the traffic would be like. And I sat on the interstate for 3 hours. It was insane. I'd never experienced anything like that. So Colorado can keep its traffic.
All sorts of different things going. Well, I think we're on. It seems like I did the quick hitters last time, so I'll start them again here. We got some very difficult questions to ask you, Eric, here.
Difficult? Ooh,
yeah.
Okay.
What is a favorite movie of yours?
Well, favorite movie, hands down, is Interstellar.
All right.
That's one that, it's people can complain about 3-hour-long movies, but that one's the one that just gives you so much attention to it to where you think about a lot of possibilities and just kind of gives you a positive outlook on things. And just Matthew McConaughey, you can't complain about him.
I was going to say, that is a recent movie, isn't it? I think that's on my list to watch, my ever-expanding list of movies that I still need to watch.
Yeah, you got to watch that.
I think that's,
It's a Christopher Nolan film.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
And I'd say a close second would just be probably the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Oh, that's a fun one.
I went to New Zealand about 4 years ago, and on the 14-hour flight, I watched all 3 movies. Just had to get myself ready for it.
Yeah,
that's a good way to do
fun.
it.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you didn't encounter any wizards or dragons when you were over there.
What do you mean? Hopefully, sadly, I didn't. Man.
Did you get to any of the? Why am I thinking historical sites? Movie site. Did you get to Hobbiton? Or
I didn't get
like
to
that?
Hobbiton. No, I wanted to go up north there. We stayed on the South Island,
Okay.
more or less. It was a 3-4 week study abroad deal. So I mean,
That's cool.
it was but it was absolutely beautiful, out of this world.
I bet.
Yeah.
I'm jealous now.
I remember hearing something about Interstellar. There's a scene where the Matthew McConaughey's character drives through this cornfield in a pickup truck, and it's a huge cornfield. And Christopher Nolan, I don't know if this is true, but he didn't like how this cornfield looked, so he planted a cornfield
I heard that same thing.
specifically
Yeah. Wow.
for this film, and then sold the corn for profit.
Well, that's kind of smart thinking there.
Hey, Eric, what was the first concert you attended?
First concert. It was, I believe, I was probably about 10 years old. I went to a Styx concert in Lincoln, Nebraska.
All right.
It was when the state fair was still there.
Okay.
And Styx was awesome. They
Good
sang
deal.
"Come Sail Away," and
Yep.
it's permanently imprinted into my brain. So
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good first
that was
concert.
my first concert.
That's great. So, in your opinion, what is the best space in this new math science center of innovative learning going to be?
You said best spaces, right? Plural.
That probably is, yeah. Well, what's
No, there's.
yeah.
I mean, there's so many cool areas, and I think every time I take people through and kind of show off the place, I always change my answer
Yeah.
when it comes to that. But there's just going to be a lot of cool aspects kind of trickled out through the entire project. But they got a state of the art Digistar 7 planetarium.
I'm
dome.
really excited to see that.
And that's all walk in, just 24-foot diameter dome. You know, I think the capabilities on it are 400 plus software, so I think you can zoom on it if you wanted. Go watch Netflix if you wanted. So,
Oh boy, movie night, it's time.
I think that's going to be a wonderful aspect, and that's an all ages thing. I know they do a lot of tours
Yeah.
with the kiddos on that one, and then plus when you start looking at astrology, or if we want to watch Interstellar on it, or
Yeah,
something.
there you go.
Seems like a good idea.
I think we can get that arranged, can't we?
Yeah.
Then probably the biggest, I don't know if it's the biggest, but I guess in my opinion it might be, but they have a brand new gross anatomy lab. It's where they bring in their cadavers. And so they have 4 cadaver tables that they'll operate on, each one equipped with a downdraft or a downdraft function to get that formaldehyde out of there. Each one has a surgical lighting and cameras with some display units. And I just think that is just something I've never been a part of. And I think
It's one of our selling points, as macabre as it sounds, but it's. And I've always heard the students talk about how crucial that is when you're going into medical school, that if you have that kind of background beforehand, it makes it so much easier for them when they get into those higher levels.
absolutely.
So they have a good space to work on it.
And we did a temp lab over in Burkheiser for this school year, and they're still doing it. I think I
Yeah.
secured a walk-in or a stand-in, so I'd go see that in person. I think that'd be pretty interesting.
It is. I don't know that it's allowed anymore, but it'd be worth checking because it is. It's a different experience seeing that in process.
Yeah, and then one of the walks that I've had was actually I think he ended up becoming a physical therapist, but he was in the classes in the old math and science working on cadavers, and it was just, I mean, to be able to get that guy to light up about this new facility, I think that more so jealousy than anything if he doesn't get to do it again. But it is just, it's what makes the whole process worthwhile.
Yeah, that's great.
I think one of my favorite kind of more hangout spots, because maybe I'm not a chemistry or biology whiz, but if you look out on that camera, you'll see on the northwest corner they have like a breezeway balcony. So I mean, they have just a lot of implemented social areas, study areas, lounging areas. You know, when we mention kids working 12, 18-hour days here, we want to make that a fun environment for them as well, and a focused environment. But that breezeway balcony, that one's going to be, I think, a prime time spot.
I think you're absolutely right with that. Because my memories of math science, whether it's as a student or covering it for promo purposes, is how closed off it seemed. Not a lot of big windows, and this is going to be just night and day difference. Mm-hmm. So if you've got a comfortable space with some natural light, nice view across campus, it's just going to be great. Even if you have to pull an all-nighter up there, at least it'll be a comfortable one.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and then it's got other neat features that will probably be more behind the scenes that nobody's ever going to think about, but they've implemented that 3-stack exhaust fan that you'll see on top of the addition. That's a energy recovery unit, so that's hooked up to all your more exhaust fume hoods, anything like the downdraft tables, all that stuff. And what that'll actually do is that'll get it'll work as an exhaust fan, but it'll actually retain as much heat out from that exhaust and put it back into your system, so into your glycol systems, into your water systems, and hopefully save the energy bill a little bit. So there's green aspects implemented into these brand new buildings too, and that's
always nice to hear.
Absolutely, yeah. So and just in very modern, clean finishes. The existing building. You've seen the existing structure.
Yeah.
Well, that's a 60-plus-year-old building. Going back to my last project, we had these 109-foot, 90,000-pound double T's that they just make in a factory, ship them up, build them like Legos. Well, if you look at this, it's all hand formed, hand set, hand placed. And so it's got that kind of historic rough look that really ties in well with the modernness of the new finishes that we have. And so I think BVH out of Lincoln just knocked it out of the park with that idea and really opens up the spaces, creates tall ceilings, which I think kind of goes to what you were saying with everything just felt closed off. Well, now you have these ginormous rooms, a lot of breathing space, just the ability to learn and interact and be successful here on campus.
Yeah, it'll be exciting to see how the students and the faculty take to it.
Yeah. So it sounds like you've kind of you've blended into the community well. But how many times have you been to the top of Sea Hill? That's the true test.
I remember the first time I went up to Sea Hill, and I was like, "Wow, this was a lot higher than I thought."
Well, you've been up there at least once. That's good.
I was all out of breath. I'd probably say, good 5 times, and that includes, when I was back here for the stadium and this year too. So, when my girlfriend comes out, we'll zigzag. They have wonderful walking trails back here, and it goes up to rangeland, comes back around, goes around some. So we do those switchbacks all the time. Just kind of I don't know if it gets a lot of use or not, but it's really a relic to have in the community.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very nice space to get to.
I think the usage increases every year. At least it seems to, certainly among families that I've noticed up there. So,
absolutely.
Have you been up there at night? I'll tell you
I
one.
don't think so,
If you have to be here over the 4th of July, it's a good spot.
Oh, geez, that's got to be the most popular spot, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it's big enough space. If you do want still to have some seclusion while you're up there and just enjoy the fireworks, there's plenty of
Will they
spots.
do like a fireworks show like at the fairgrounds or anything like that?
They usually do one in Crawford.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For here, it's mostly just seeing what are the people around town putting
Right.
up in the air.
Right. Oh, yeah. Shoot, you should have told me that a few months back. We're a little. Well, I get New Year's. I'm sure they got something.
We had to do the town had to do a power outage a few years back where the whole town had to go black. Apparently, we've got enough generators here that Chicoine stayed lit up the whole time. But I thought this is perfect. It's a planned outage. I can go up, I can get a before and an after photo, and then blend them together somehow. So it was really eerie, sort of just different, I suppose, seeing what the town looked like at night, but dark.
Oh, that'd be fun.
But I swear everybody in town was out driving around the darkened streets, so we had plenty of traffic. It's fun stuff.
That is fun. Yeah, I just, it reminds me a lot of home. Springfield's a town of 1,300 people, smaller than Chadron, but you're full of great people, great community, nice people, people who will, stop to talk to you when you go to the post office or out to eat. And it's a wonderful community to work in. So very fortunate to be here. When they ask me to come do these projects up here, it's a given. It's a yes. It's not dreadful whatsoever. It's, oh yeah, heck yeah, I get to go work with them again.
Well, I'd like to hear that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, we got one final question for you to close things out. Maybe the most difficult question of all, but are you a power tools or a hand tools kind of guy?
So,
I imagine this maybe more on the personal project side because I know time is of the essence.
I got a funny story that comes to mind as a kid, and it was I got got my my foundation of my construction qualities from my father, and I loved every aspect about it. And I was building like this race car rocket ship all out of 2x4s. You know, at the end of the day, I'm just using a hammer. I just wanted to use a hammer and a nail, piece this whole thing together. And, well, when I finally got done, well, it weighed 100 pounds, and I couldn't move it or lift it or do anything. Didn't have any wheels or what have you. But I just remember my dad, and I was getting frustrated, and I think I was just getting tired of swinging a hammer. But, man, I just wanted to use tools like my dad. He comes up with a screw gun and just starts screwing everything together. He's like, well, why don't you just do this? You know, it's that much faster. And it's like, I just wanted to use a hammer, Dad. And so I think since then it's my brain triggered to doing things the most efficient way. So I'm always going to go power tools if I can. Yeah. Whatever is the most efficient avenue to get from point A to point B. That's what I'll end up doing. If I'm blowing off some stress, I'll maybe use a hammer or a sledgehammer or something.
Sledgehammers are fun.
Keep one handy at all times.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Eric. We really appreciate you joining us today and learning a little bit more about you and obviously A&P, which has been a really great partner to the college for the last decade or so. So appreciate it.
Yeah, and a lot of people involved, and I just want to express AP feels the exact same way. I'm constantly in communication with them. They're always asking about Chadron, the client, how Harry's doing, how Carrie's doing, how Dr. Ryan's doing. Just wanting to make sure that everybody is happy up here, and that if there's anything that we can do for you guys, that's what we strive for. So it's been fun, and it's we'll continue get this thing wrapped up in February, and that way you guys can have a nice, beautiful building.
Appreciate it.
I'm ready for it. Thanks, Eric.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank you.
it, guys.